So we just had one of the biggest landslides in the BMF belt history, if not UFC history. This weekend, Charles Oliveira versus Max Holloway was a complete ground game, basically jiu-jitsu match. And me being an ex-MMA fighter and being a Amazon jiu-jitsu black belt, I want to break this fight down and explain how genius Oliveira's ground game is. Stay tuned, you might learn something.
Touch your lips. It's time for a brand new episode of what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, said it's time for a brand new episode of Talking Jit.
All right, before I start this, I just got to spark the debate. Is this a BMF fight? I know when we think of BMF, we think of violence, stand up, trading punches and blows, going for it. And this was just a total ground game domination. Are you, the viewer, happy about this? Or is this not what you would rank a BMF fight? Let me know in the comments down below. And if you're new to the channel, subscribe. You just might learn something. So let's get down into it. The fight starts out on the feet as always, but surprisingly, Oliveira's got great stand up, and the amount of strength in this takedown right here is insane. Look at the strength. He goes from a body hug, picks him up, stays under the hip, and drops him. And I want to point out something right off the bat here. Let's get in here. Shoot. Picks him up, drops him. And if you notice right off the bat here, one of my favorite things to point out, the knee stays below the butt, right? So in a guard passing situation, we don't want the knee up here where it'd be above the hip line because it leaves a lot of room for Max to get this bottom leg in to re-guard. So automatically the hip is going below the hamstring, or I'm sorry, the knee is going below the hamstring, locking that sucker in. Right here, another great example as Max had it for a second. He had the right idea. So Max is posting off of the tricep here. I like to go for armpits just because I feel like it gives me a little bit more distance when I'm trying to post and get that space. But Max going from here, keeping the arm control, I can't complain. But Oliveira does a really smart thing because he keeps Max trapped in between both knees, kind of like a field goal. This is the way I think of it. Keep them inside your field goal, so you always got them tracked. And you can see it pays off because as Max goes to turtle or show his back, Oliveira has the mobility to just drop beneath the shoulder line with his knees and go for a back take, which was a beautiful back take, and we'll see that in just a moment. So he drops back behind. Perfect. Hops up. Now what Max is trying to do here, I imagine, is get this hip pushed to the cage. Any amount of space that's left in between the cage and Max's hip is going to let Oliveira's hips come in and start dominating. So he's using the fence to try to peel Oliveira and to give him a good spot. But Oliveira is starting to show, let me see, let's go here. He's automatically going for the neck, which is smart. He's got both his hooks in, and now Max is facing the cage. It's getting really bad. And one thing I do like here, it looks like he's not under the chin. You can finish the rear naked choke just on the mouth or face. Holloway's a really tough dude. I would not be putting my money on that. And as we can see, Holloway gets out. But what is also a great option, him using the cage and you wanting to get off the cage, is actually using that arm to push the chin this way and makes Holloway's face look that same direction. And that'll start encouraging Holloway to face away from the cage and maybe give Oliveira room to fall in between. He doesn't go that route, and I think he has the body triangle here. It is really hard to stay on someone's back when they're standing up and against the cage. So it's just amazing that Oliveira is just like a backpack to him. But he's going for the kill. As you can see, it's still kind of encouraging Max to face this direction away from the cage and giving Oliveira the space in between the cage so he can keep the control. But he's going to keep going for it. If I was Holloway right here, let me go back just a second. Right here, you have kind of two choices. 2-on-1, so two hands on one of Oliveira's arms to kind of break the pressure It's going to take two on one of them to pop it off, or possibly going 2-on-1 on the elbow and pushing it up to try to kind of alleviate some space and maybe get your hands on the inside and back to protecting your neck again. But Max had actually had really good defense and hung in there the rest of this round. So it looks like he's reaching up for the lever arm here to pull it down and go that route, which is fine. More of a desperation move, I feel like, to push the elbow up. But another thing I like right here is if you can see Oliveira's arms, um, doing a really good job at keeping that chin tight to that head. So almost like you're like cuddling. You got your head right here, biting down hard, making sure that shoulder's trapped so he can't peel. But sometimes I like to actually drop the glove and grab the same glove. Grab the same glove and push it down, giving you the chance to like open up, you know. They're going to be up like this tight, so I like to kind of grab and push down and kind of give myself an entry to do whatever I want, whether it's a cross face, some more hits, a tag or two, or just threaten something. I mean, I'm not by any means saying I'm better than Oliveira, by the way. I'm just throwing ideas out there. That'll definitely work. We all know that'll work. See right here, boom, he's doing it. Okay. So he's pushing that arm down here, and if you saw that space, Max is giving the eyebrows. But still doing a great job of not even letting this shoulder touch the cage to start peeling. Max goes back to the corner. Looks like he's like, oh damn. Dude, bam, the strength right here. And the fact that when Oliveira gets that takedown, he bounces up, keeps his base really square, and still lands in side control is amazing. Stays on this side of the hip the whole time. So he really understands the concept of just like beating that hip in the leg line. Right here, I want to point out something really good that I noticed. So if you notice with this, Holloway's like doing a lot of lockdowns here. So he's trying to really just hug them, probably stall so they can get stood back up. But as the grappler in the grappling situation, I like how Oliveira is going across the body. So if you guys notice, 1, 2, 3, 4, hips and shoulders, right? Oliveira is covering both by going across the body. So he's locking down Max over here, pushing his shoulders into Max's shoulder, holding it down, and then he's keeping the hip in check with his hip. So that bottom, that bottom leg is usually the one you worry about, but it's the little details you don't notice is that he's holding the hips down in a cross diagonal way, which is great. With Max, I was going to say with Max holding down like this and locking down, getting those little tags in are great, but the shoulder pressure, perfect right here. Driving into Max's face, just cooking him. Forcing him to face the way his spine doesn't want to face, and just driving it, that shoulder pressure. And Oliveira working the knee slice to kind of advance while he's holding that pressure down, getting his hips high. But Max does a great job of using that cage to elevate his hips and shut that down. And Oliveira leaves the knee in, and I wouldn't be surprised if that's not to try to take the back. Yep, perfect. All right, so cool. So if you notice, and if you watch any of my videos before, one thing I'm really big on is getting your knees through the guard. If your knee's left behind the guard, you're letting the guard player kind of lock it down, or if they're a good guard player, you're letting them get setups. But when you drive the knee through, you start your passing, you start getting momentum in your side. So, that being said, I think it's really smart because Oliveira seems to get his knee all the way through. I'm guessing somewhere here if I'm looking at the foot. So it's past the guard, but he leaves it in there because Max is facing the same direction that that knee is cutting through. So it's going to open up this whole backside for Oliveira to take the back, which is very smart. Give him some encouragement. Boom, knees on the floor. A little bit of encouragement. Matt trying to run, and boom, perfect. So it kind of gives you that free hook, you know, and you just chase that. And I want to note right here too, when someone locks down the head and they're holding you down, they're trying to prevent most likely your posture from getting really powerful strikes in, right? So the way that you can deal with that to kind of be annoying, it might not be a league winner, but it's going to be annoying and it's going to add up and it feels a little bit worse than it looks. But exactly right here, with how much Max is holding Oliveira down, either trying to stall or trying to stop getting hit. Oliveira does the smart thing by grabbing the head and pushing it down and getting in little tiny shots as he kind of brings Max back to whatchamacallit, like square one. So watch right here. Boom. Gets that little tiny shot in and then goes right back to pushing the head down to the mat. So you can kind of like post on their head to kind of try to get yourself a little bit of space and pop a quick shot in and sometimes open them up just a little bit. And it does add up over time. It frustrates you on the bottom and it does make you feel like it's time to work. So even though you might be holding down, getting those little pot shots in, you just start thinking like that's a punch, that's a punch. I got to catch up. We got a lot more of this pressure right here pushing in, looking really good. And then Oliveira goes up high. He goes for the bottom leg. Max does a really good job. And here is a lesson too on the defensive side. So with this amount of space in between Max's back leg or his hips in the cage, that is like in a situation like this is where you want to create the space to try to start getting to the cage and work your way up the cage. So you want some sort of contact to kind of touch the cage and work yourself up the wall, whether it's like a technical stand up or, just slowly getting a shoulder to the cage and walking yourself up to get back in the game. Um, and I think Holloway senses it here. Let's see how he gets into it. Starts kind of turning the head. Nope. Oliveira shuts it. Holloway kicks open a little bit of space and then boom, starts shooting his hips to the cage here. Now, where I think he makes a little bit of a mistake is when he gets up, he doesn't push his hip against the cage to shut off anything. So when you watch him get up, I know it sucks getting pinned on the cage. I don't know exactly what his strategy was, but I would start putting this, not the hip closest to us, but the hip farthest to us against that cage. And I'm actually like planting my toes on the mat and pushing my hip into that cage to freaking squish a quarter if I have to, because that's going to stop him from getting around that corner. It's only going to give me one side to worry about. And, if I'm able to get my back square in the cage, it sucks, but you still have the ability to kind of sprawl, you know, space your legs out wide, underhook, pick them up, or just, kind of chop and turn and get off that cage. I don't know what his strategy was here. Maybe he was thinking to run and front roll. I'm not sure. But with how the whole fight, Oliveira was just taking over the back, that would be in my mind, was just getting my back to the cage and dealing with some other problem. But very nice for Oliveira to chase the hips, throw the hook in. And I want to notice this too. When Oliveira throws this hook in, it goes all the way to the other leg and hooks that leg. So it's not just like a hook kind of chopping in on the hip line right here. It goes all the way and clamps around that leg, kind of wedging, giving yourself something to work off of. Ready? Here. So you can see it all the way right here. I must point at my screen. Now, this is just a total domination. Just great groundwork. And I'm glad they did the point down. I was kind of worried they wouldn't, but just in good faith, Max knowing he's out, Charles doing that for him. Just a great match. I mean, I'm not sure how I feel about the BMF, to be honest. Like, I was expecting a little bit more violence. In one way, it is badass because someone brought jiu-jitsu in there and just showed total domination with jiu-jitsu. He did land ground and pound. He did go after submissions the whole time. And he just freaking, those takedowns were amazing. Just fucking bullying them. But if you like the stand-up, let me know down below. I mean, what would you rather see? And now that Charles Oliveira's got the big shiny belt, I don't know what you're looking for, Like you might be looking at more matches like that. It's a good thing he's like a complete fighter though, because you can see a lot. All right. That's it for this video. If you like the video, please hit the subscribe button and the like button. It helps it out a lot. I know everyone says that, but it really does. That is the game we're playing. If you got anything out of this at all, let me know down below if you learned anything, or if you saw anything that I didn't cover, let me know down below. I have to leave off with this question. First of all, how are we feeling about Paramount Plus? I'm hearing mixed reviews. I want to know where you guys are at with this. Is it something that you've noticed any difference with, or is it something that we're enjoying? Second of all, how are we feeling about the BMF belt? Is a jiu-jitsu match, a grappling match, and a total domination take the whole BMF away from you? Or do you think that was a badass show of just pure domination and just not giving up, just relentlessly pushing? And I do have to say this too. Max Holloway was not in an easy position the whole match to survive, and he pushed through the whole entire fight. So shout out to the dog and him, because being a fighter and being in horrible situations like that, it is not easy to mentally push yourself through. If you got anything out of this, please hit the subscribe button, like the channel. I'm going to get out of this ramen noodle diet if you guys help me. Only if you guys help me. So thanks for watching.
They try to drown me, I can swim upstream so profoundly. I can stay calm in a dire situation. I'm at it every day, no time for a vacation. And I smell blood in the water. Everything I do, yeah, I do it for my daughters. Now I'm gonna shut your lips. It's time for a brand new episode of What? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, say what? We talking jit, said it's time for a brand new episode of Talking Jit.